So before I talk about Hamlet's action, let me talk a little bit about the ghost. I mean, it is a tragedy, but you would have to understand that in the beginning when Hamlet meets his father, the ghost, it's the first thing. Why do you believe the ghost in the first place? Are you more likely to see, if you see a ghost, are you going to believe what they tell you? Let me take a survey here. See a spirit. And I'm talking to, students in Taiwan. I mean, in Taiwan, lots of people will say, well, I had a vision. I saw a ghost or a spirit, and that's what they tell me. Especially in, from what I know, Taiwanese police officers, when they're trying to solve a crime, they also consult, right? But that cannot be admitted as evidence. That's kind of like, maybe you should go and look in the river, or you should go and look in the toilet for the evidence, That's more likely. But what does that say about Hamlet? Hamlet sees a ghost, and the ghost says, well, your uncle killed me. I knew it. Why? He didn't like it in the first place. He didn't need evidence. He saw his uncle kill his father. So there was always bias on Hamlet's part. He's prejudiced. Now, the reason I say it's a play that makes us ask lots of questions is, can you be a good judge of truth if you are biased? And if you are biased, can you be right about somebody? What I mean is, there are people who just have the wrong reason for their ideas. For instance, if you see a criminal on the street and, I know that guy's a criminal. How do you know that guy's a criminal? Anybody with tattoos is a criminal. That's not right, because there are lots of people with tattoos that are not criminals. But what if if you're somebody who hates tattoos and who just believe that everybody with tattoos has got to be a criminal, and you turn on the TV and you see on the TV news every night, police arrested this gangster who shot another gangster. Tattoos, tattoos, tattoos. You go, see what I told you? They're all gangsters, they're all criminals. What does that say about the way we understand the world, how the way we achieve knowledge? The way we achieve knowledge is often very haphazard. Haphazard means not systematic and kind of not secure. We don't kind of flimsy way we get to know the world. So first, what we know is Hamlet has prejudices. He hated his uncle, and so he always, in some ways, thought his uncle killed his father. So when the ghost says, Hamlet, your uncle killed me, I knew it, he's very quick to believe. The second thing about Hamlet, he's also distrusting of women. His mother marrying his uncle so quick, I can't trust a woman. A woman's too weak. My mother, I can't trust her. The reason she married him so quickly, she's a weak person. Notice that very famous expression in Hamlet, frailty. Thy name is woman, right? So you're weak, you're woman. That's why. So Hamlet is himself full of prejudices, full of biases, and yet he's also someone who knows the truth. He knows the truth despite not having firm material evidence. So Shakespeare is asking us this very fundamental question. Can somebody really know the truth when they don't have very good ways of investigating the truth, proving the truth? if you're somebody who used to not having evidence, and yet you actually know that's going, how can you do that? Can we do that? Can we do that? You know? And notice, I'm speaking as a modern person, we have to, in the modern world, before we convict anyone, we have to have evidence to convict somebody of their crime. So it doesn't work just to say, look, I know my uncle killed my father. Why? I feel that way. Can't do that. So the whole play is about Hamlet trying to procure some sort of evidence, if possible, to make his case and to confirm his belief that indeed his uncle killed his father. Now, in Shakespeare's time, the way the ghost appeared would have been very suspicious for Shakespeare's audience, because in Shakespeare's time, England was transforming itself into a Protestant country. Religious difference being, the Catholics of old believed in ghosts, believed in purgatory, believed in, that kind of thing. But the Protestants in England, they were telling the English people, look, we are Protestants now. We don't believe in superstitions like that anymore. Yeah. We don't really deal with ghosts. Ghosts are not good things. They're not going to tell you real, they're demons. How could they tell you real things? How can they be truthful? Also, Hamlet's father tells Hamlet that he is now in purgatory for the sins he committed as a warrior, because when he fought wars, he killed lots of people. And so these sins were unabsolved in his death, meaning he didn't have an absolution before he died because he was murdered. And so because he was murdered, he didn't have that ritual. All his sins were unabsolved, and he has to go straight to purgatory. Now, purgatory is a Catholic notion. So that raises the idea of what is the trustworthiness of this ghost? It's a Catholic ghost. Also, it is a little funny if you think about it, And it is a reflection on Hamlet's personal condition. He is a young man. He loved his father very much. And when he comes home, he realized his father's dead. So what? He misses his father so much so that when he sees a ghost, he says, "Daddy, that's not your father. That's a ghost." Yeah. I know very few people, when they see a ghost, they would go, "Yes, my parent?" No. That would be very odd, because most of the time when you see a ghost, you would be very scared and you would be very disturbed. But instead of being disturbed, Hamlet's like, "Dad?" Yeah. That is a reflection on what he is, who he is. He intensely wants something to confirm his ideas about the world. Right. So, questions, comments so far? Yeah. Let's look at Act 1, Scene 4, line 69. Notice Horatio is the sensible one. And the reason he's the sensible one is also he's outside that political circle. He's not corrupted, but also he's not had to deal with the power politics and the interest in power that these people have. So he gives sensible advice, but Hamlet doesn't seem to always take it. So this is what Horatio says. Look, when you see a ghost, don't go too close. Sensible advice, I would say, 你见到鬼，你不要那么的想要见鬼哈。Yeah. But Hamlet seems to be eager. Why? It's his personal condition at the time. Right. Act 1, Scene 4, line 69. What if it tempt you toward the flood, my lord, or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles o'er his base into the sea, and there assume some other horrible form which might deprive your sovereignty of reason and draw you into madness? Think of it. The very place puts toys of desperation without more motive into every brain that looks so many fathoms to the sea and hears it roar beneath. And Hamlet is looking at the ghost like, yeah, the ghost is beckoning to me. Hamlet says, it waves me still. Go on, I'll follow thee. Marcellus, the guard, says, you shall not go, my lord. Hold off your hands. Be ruled, you shall not go. That's what Horatio says to him. Hamlet says, my fate cries out and makes each petty artery in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still am I called, unhand me, gentlemen. By heaven, I'll make a ghost of him that lets me. I say, away, go on, I'll follow thee. So in this case, I've been talking about action. In this case, they're trying to make him not to go to the ghost. And you can say, well, Hamlet's taking action, isn't he? He's taking action, but notice he's taking action in the other direction. Everybody's moving forward in life. He's running to the ghost. Why? He's running to the past. He's running to his dead father. It's the memory of the father. And the father won't let him forget. The father haunts him with memory. So whereas, notice that's what revenge tragedy usually goes. Whereas most revenge tragedy, somebody hurt me, I'm a good person, or somebody hurt me, whether or not I'm a good person, and I want revenge. But here, the revenge tragedy is somebody killed my father. I'm stuck on the past. I cannot move forward in life because most of the time, if you're a young man, you're a young prince, you go back to the university, you complete your studies. Or, in Hamlet's case, there's that question, why did people elect Claudius and not Hamlet? The presumable reason is Hamlet is too young. So Hamlet is kind of not interested in politics, not good enough, doesn't have the energy. Yeah. He's stuck in the past. Yeah. He thinks about revenge because he is haunted by memory. Yeah. And so I'm going to continue here with Hamlet's conversation with the ghost. The ghost says, Act 1, Scene 5, line 9. I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast and fires. Till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house, I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotted and combined locks to part, and each particular hair to stand on end like quills upon the fearful porcupine. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, list, O list. If thou didst ever thy dear father love. Notice there's a lot of tugging, emotional. You love your dad, do it for me. I'm your dad. I demand this because I'm your father. And yet, that is a kind of haunting because of that, he cannot move forward in his life. He's engrossed in revenge, right? If the ghost never appeared, Hamlet would go back, study. Hamlet may get married to Ophelia or some other girl. And may Hamlet become king? Maybe, after Claudius. But the ghost is keeping that tug into the past and says, look, you got to come back to me. That's what you need to do now. Take revenge for me. You remember you love your daddy? Do it. Yeah. And so that gets him all stuck in the past. Notice, on the other hand, his mother doesn't seem bothered by that, by his father's death, Hamlet says. Also, on the other hand, Hamlet's father, the ghost that is very gentle and sweet about Hamlet's mother still. He says to Hamlet, you got to take revenge for me, but remember, don't hurt your mom. Don't make her cry now. Her feelings count. I love her very much. And then, so the son's like, oh, I can't. You want me to kill my uncle, and you want, and you don't want me to hurt mommy? Wow. Yeah. Now, lots of people, notice too, it is a political consideration. Hamlet is misogynistic. He says, frailty, thy name is woman. But his misogyny has to do with the fact that he thinks his mother is kind of an embarrassing and also an embarrassing obstacle in his way of revenge, right? Because he thinks, well, I want to kill my uncle, but then my mother's in the way. She's married to him. Yeah. So it is a political sense of a prince thinking, look, how do I play the game? I need to take revenge. How do I play the game? But my mother is in the way. Oh, that woman is in the way. Woman, she's a woman. Why? The assumption, again, that politics is overwhelmingly masculine. And that it's a men's game, and then this stupid woman doesn't know what she's doing. And she got herself married to a murderer, the murderer of her husband. I have to say, however, when you think about that, first, your mother, like anybody else, is an individual. If she decides to get married right away after your father dies, she could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And given that there's no evidence, no material evidence that your father was murdered by Claudius, there's nothing wrong with her marrying your uncle. But Hamlet, remember, heaps his resentment on her. He feels she is an embarrassment. He feels he's an obstacle in her way, in his plans. And so it's a situation where you feel like people who love you in life, your loved ones, they are not there to help you in your plans. They become an obstacle. Right. As I just said, I am not with Hamlet on that. I would think, you have to respect your mom. That's what she wants to do. Now, going back to the idea of action, despite the difficulty of action. Remember, I've been talking about how it's difficult for him to act, but he still finds some ways to act. So he tries to find ways to act. And how does Hamlet try ways to act? First, he puts on, well, not first, but one of the things he does, he puts on that play, right? The play within the play, and he tells his friends what's called a mousetrap. And what's happened in the mousetrap, that play within a play, is about how the brother kills the older brother right, murder the older brother and then marries the older brother's wife. And why does he put on that play? To see Claudius's reaction to it. See whether or not Claudius will react and whether or not he could confess or his response will show that he is indeed guilty. And so even though it's nearly impossible, where Hamlet feels it's nearly impossible to act or to take action, he takes whatever little action possible, right, to try to generate some kind of evidence for his uncle's guilt. So that's one of the things he does. Okay. Notice too, the thing he does too is a very imaginative thing because acting, right? So Shakespeare is making you think about acting as in drama and entertainment. And acting as in taking action. Acting in the sense of drama and entertainment is to a certain extent false. It's not real action. It's an action that is make-believe, that is fictional. Whereas taking action is a real action in our sense of the word, that you are doing things to accomplish a particular purpose, right? So Shakespeare likes to make us think about these two different senses of the word to understand how the Hamlet story unfolds, because Hamlet is what? Acting, right? He pretends he's crazy. He pretends he's mad. And he does all these things that make people think he doesn't make sense. And to what extent does he do that to achieve this action? The purpose is to achieve revenge, take action against his uncle. And whether or not he succeeds, whether or not he does not succeed.